Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of First and Goal. This week we've got Prime Time 000. Looks like he might make the playoffs. We'll see how that plays out. Dmues, he's kind of playing for the playoffs as well. Double Rice No Bean, he's in the playoffs. And then Finz,
Is that official?
He's a teacher and he can spell playoffs. All right, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
We're good, man.
All right, so we're gonna have DW on, but Double Rice No Bean jumped in his spot when DW just bailed on us. But
That was Finz, but I'll take the credit. Thank you.
We'll either one. Finz too. I don't like to give Finz a ton of credit, so we'll just keep that out of there.
I respect that.
That's our battle of the border rivalry we have going on. But so
there we go.
We'll start with Dmues here. Dmues, first topic. Why do you think so many teams switched after the redraft? We only had, I think, 3 teams stay the same.
I think there are a couple things here. First off, it's really easy to identify the things you don't like about your team when you start. So when you take over a base roster, I feel like you're more likely to be upset with certain parts of your team than you are to be happy with others. And I don't think in our 2 years we had enough time to build up those teams and build good camaraderie between yourself and your team. So I don't really feel like anyone had that attachment there. No one really had multiple rookies or anything that they saw develop. So there wasn't a lot of attachment in that sense. And then I think once there's kind of a snowball effect, once the beginning of the draft started to go differently, a lot of guys pick based on division and who they want to schedule with for the cycle. So once people started taking different teams early, it was easy to see why people were taking different teams late.
All right. And Bean, what do you think?
Well, I was counting early. I thought it was interesting that only 12 teams actually had the opportunity to take their same team again.
Okay.
And I think you said 3 of them did. But I always think it's more fun to acclimate to the team. So I probably would have taken the Patriots again just because I don't even know what Sherm did to my roster the first time, but I would have had different players and stuff. But yeah, I think the whole fun part of it for me is acclimating to the team.
Okay.
So I would have picked a different team, I guess, now that I think about it.
All right.
It's hard to say.
Finz, how about you?
I got 4 reasons here. I think first and foremost, I know how the game works, Prime. I think first and foremost, the blip really sapped the fun out of everyone, right? It was just, people had spent 2 seasons building their team, and they lost all that work. Second, I think Dmues made a great point about trying to avoid the flaws in the original team, right? So if you took a team with a rookie quarterback and that rookie quarterback didn't play the way you thought, then maybe you go with a more proven commodity. Third, I think people obviously chasing and avoiding certain owners. Paulie may have gone to the Bucs again. That was a great roster. But once Foz and Dan took those 2 teams, there was no way he was going back to that division. And then getting their favorite team, Fake had the opportunity to get the Patriots. He didn't do it last time. So he took the chance this time.
All right. Prime, you were one of the guys that had the opportunity and chose a different team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for me it was just going to be kind of boring, especially taking the Chiefs. It's okay, I know that who's going to develop, and I'm just going to have to develop this guy again, defensively. Okay, I get to develop Snead again, and hopefully he gets the same abilities or ratings that he got last time. Otherwise, I'm going to be pissed off if he doesn't, and things like that. There is a slight competitive advantage, I think, maybe to taking the same team again, because if you made a wrong move here and there, then you could kind of get that right. Bomber taking the Browns, I think you had some tight ends. Maybe you flip flopped or something this time around. I probably wouldn't have traded Hardman again if I would have got more out of him. So I think there's that, but there's also some guys who were just kind of fringe players who they thought they wanted to blame it on the team. I remember when I was thinking about restarting, Deathwish was in chat. He's like, yeah, we should change teams. I want out of New York. And then the Lord blessed him with his wish, and now he's got 1 win? Deathwish literally had a death wish because now he's got 1 win.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, and I didn't even realize what Bean brought up, that only 12 teams actually even had the opportunity to pick the same team because of the way it fell. So we'll start with you this time, Bean. Who do you think represents each conference in the Super Bowl, and which team wins the Lombardi this season?
Well, I'm gonna go with my original DW poll, which I think I chose the Bucks and the Ravens. I'm a little biased on the Bucks. I want Smitty to do good because he's in the little Primer Pals posse. I got my little, repping him here. But for QP, I think he's gonna do good on those Ravens. I think he's second in your division right
Yeah.
now, but I think he should have an easy. Well, I guess he won't even have an easy matchup because oh no, it will be Miker. So yeah,
it
he'll
should
have
be
an
Mike,
easy
I think.
first playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I'm gonna take QP to win it just because I feel like that's the easy pick. I already took I already took Smitty to win the NFC. I'm not gonna get too crazy.
Okay. All right, Finz, what do you think?
Well, it's clear Bean has no idea how this game works. I'm going to say that the AFC runs through the North. It's either going to be you or QP. And I got you representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. That team is just too good. And then the NFC, until any of those guys prove it, until I know Smitty had a great game today against Foz, I still think it runs through Dan or Foz. Foz is going to figure it out. He learns a lot from those losses. And I think, should they play again in the playoffs, I think Foz will come out on top. So I'm going to say it's going to be you and Foz, and I think your defense is just too strong for Jordan Love to overcome, and I think you take it, Bomber.
All right, so Finz knows how this game is played. Prime, who do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I think in the AFC, I think you're the favorite, honestly. There's not really a team who has stuck out other than you, Bomber, mainly because, like me, I'm just kind of up and down with the Colts. QP, still, I think, finding his way with the Ravens a bit, learning to play with Lamar Jackson. And other than that, I think every other playoff team is a little flawed. Looking at the NFC, I think that Doinkface has a shot at doing it, but I don't think he will. He still has a tendency of throwing 3 or 4 just really questionable passes a game that in the playoffs that can really hurt you. Faz, I don't think he's going to make it either. I think the skill that everybody just loves about Faz is his passing. He's 16th right now in the league in passing yards. He's thrown 22 interceptions with Jordan Love. Faz is a great passer with an elite quarterback. I think it's either Dan or Coach Pauly, actually. And I'm gonna take Dan because he knows the game a little bit better. So I think it'll be the Bushwhacker duel.
Okay. Dmues, finish it up with you.
Yeah, I also know how this game works. I'm picking Bomber coming out of the AFC. I do think it'll be you and QP.
Yeah.
That whenever you face off in the playoffs, that'll kind of determine it, in my opinion. You guys split this year, and it's kind of interesting because both scores were sort of lopsided, but it seems like you were able to rebound from your first loss pretty well and more than double up QP. So that's encouraging, and that's why I'm going to give you the edge there in the AFC. In the NFC, bit of a homer pick. I love seeing the New Orleans Saints succeed in the SML, something that I have not seen before. Future's playing some good ball. He's the number 1 seed right now in the NFC. He's got a top 5 offense, top 10 defense, and he has wins over Foz and Dan. Foz probably would have been my pick, but the game today really caused some concern. It seems like Jordan Love might just have a game here or there, and especially in the playoffs, if he has a bad game, you're kind of done. So I'm going with a bit of an outlier here. I'm going to pick Future and the Saints, and then Bomber, I think you take it. I think we have a repeat of our cycle before the blip where the Browns take Super Bowl 1.
Oh, love it.
I will say, I think that the elite players taking some mediocre teams I can't say the Panthers are even a mediocre team. Maybe Faz just kind of sucks without an elite quarterback because like that Panthers team is actually good. I was going to say it makes things interesting when elite players don't have the best teams in the game, but that Panthers team is actually stacked. So maybe Faz is overrated. Sorry, Faz, if you're watching.
It's weird how that just totally happened, and I'm sure you weren't planning that at all. So, Finz, we'll start with you for topic 3. Season's almost complete, right? Now that we see where some draft picks are falling and how everybody did with their guys, what were maybe some of the best or worst trades this season?
I went through every trade after the blip, and I found three good and three bad in my opinion. I really liked the trade that Dan made with Colt for when Colt got Aluakon, and he sent Hamler, Bridgewater, and that tight end. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. That was a great trade for both teams. I think Dan's doing really well with Bridgewater, and Aluakon is a great user. The CJ Henderson for a first was a great deal in my opinion as well. The fact that Foz got Seattle's first and Spooky is now out of the playoffs makes that pick even better. And the McCole Hardman for Devin Bush deal. That 1-for-1 trade is a really good trade in my opinion. I think it's crazy that Spades traded Bush, but Hardman obviously is putting in work for him. And then worst trades. I really hate the Levante David and Gronk for a first and a second rounder. I hate that deal. Levante David's good, but he's old.
Yeah.
Gronk as well. I hate the J.C. Jackson and Damian Harris for first round pick and Chase Edmonds. Again, another terrible deal. And I know Paulie went on the truth and talked about this trade, but I really hate the Giants first and the third and John Ross for ZZ's first and a second rounder. Like the differentiation in those pick spots is massive. I hate those deals.
How about you, Prime?
Yeah, I was actually going to say that was the Paulie trade was the best trade because I'm Team Paulie, and that was a great trade for Paulie, really, to fleece ZZ. I know ZZ thinks otherwise because he got his speed receiver, but Coach Paulie's doing pretty well. That Giants team, if I'm not mistaken, is loaded with draft picks. I think for worst, also a good trade that I think worked out for both teams is the Browns trade with the Chiefs. I think Cleveland got a first-round pick, and the Chiefs got Kareem Hunt and maybe a seventh-round pick or something. I don't remember 100%. But Coop got his running back. He and Bomber still got a draft pick for a Nick Chubb backup that he's never going to use. And also, honestly, any trade, you could pick figs out of a hat, pull one out, and say, okay, this is a bad trade because there was like 3 he made. Actually, no, scratch that. There was like 5 he made that was awful, and there's only 3 he was allowed to make because that's how bad they were.
Yeah, I think I lucked out with Coop being as bad as he was this year. That helped that trade for me. I expected that to be him, like a playoff team. But Dmues, how about you?
Yeah, so I kept Fig and I kept the John Ross trade off of my list just because those are covered a lot throughout the league. I actually focusing on Coop here. I disagree. I had the Kareem Hunt trade for the Chiefs as one of my worst trades just because of how Coop's season's turned out. He's 4-11 right now, so that's going to be a high first-round pick that he sent to Bomber for Kareem Hunt, who's 26 years old already. He's not really going to develop much more beyond this. I mean, he's good. He's 88 overall. Coop is averaging over 5 yards a carry with him, so he's been productive. But, I mean, you have Edwards-Helaire on the roster. I know he's only 86 speed, but he does have 94 acceleration and 90 change of direction, both of which are better than Kareem Hunt, and he's 82 overall and 22 years old. I think there's a development opportunity there. I don't necessarily know that trading a first-round pick, one that turns out to be early, especially for Kareem Hunt, is going to be the best thing for that Chiefs team moving forward. And I agree with Finz. The McCole Hardman for Devin Bush trade, I think, really worked out for both sides. If you're the Chiefs, you have to look at it. You already have Tyreek Hill, who can take the top off the defense. You have Kelsey, who can catch everything over the middle. You have enough weapons right there in the passing game to be effective. McCole Hardman's more of a luxury. So if you can get a user linebacker, which Coop has done, and Coop is a pretty good user. He's an underrated user in the league. So if you can get Devin Bush, who has 90 speed, he's only 23. That's a great move there. And we've seen what Spades has done with McCole Hardman. I mean, his stats have been talked about thoroughly in the chat the last few days. So I think that one really worked out for both sides.
Yeah, I don't think if Coop knew he was going to have a top 10 pick, he'd have traded it for Hunt. And I'm going to need you to stop using phrases like take the top off because some of our viewers, like Monty, might not understand what that means. So I'm going to dock you 1 point for that. But then I'm going to give you 3 points for using something he didn't know.
All he knows what taking the top off means.
Different subject, though. double bean, no rice, no rice, no beans, no beans, no rice, whichever one it is. What do you think? I know you've gone through these with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, first I got to give an honorable mention to Figs for trading away my favorite player when I was looking for a cornerback. I would have paid way more. So I just want to put that out there. So thanks a lot, Figs. And then number 2, I have to go after the Paris Campbell trade. He gave my AFC South coattail riding away off Carson Wentz, so now I have to deal with a new quarterback. But if you look at the stats, I think Paris Campbell only had 30 receptions for 450 yards, whereas Aguilar had 17 receptions for 300, and he's only played 2/3 of the snaps that Paris Campbell has. So he's using Aguilar more, and he traded a first to get Paris Campbell. He's not using Paris Campbell enough, especially whenever he's giving 70 receptions to Watkins or whatever it is. So I have to go at him for that one. I can't just let it slide like everyone else.
All right. So that's going to take us to our fourth down question, and we'll start with Prime on this. Do you think the new scouting feature changes the value of the draft picks at all? I know a lot of people have been kind of up in the air about whether or not they like it. What do you think it has as far as an effect?
I think it does. I think it impacts the value of first round picks and later, because everybody should probably, like, if you think you're going to be good, you should probably scout those mid round players and lower, but everybody's probably going to scout the best players first to learn about them. So I think it just hurts because of the unknown. That said, in a way, I think scouting is more realistic because in the past we knew exactly who players were when we took them. We knew exactly, like, right before we picked them, we knew what they were going to be. Now it's a little more of a crapshoot. I wish they would gone about it in a different way, but probably a little more realistic because we knew exactly who players were going to be right before we took them, which isn't always the case in the NFL.
Okay. Dmues, what do you think?
I agree with that. I get why they did it. I do think it changes the value. I know for myself, I'm valuing draft picks less than I did. Just like Prime said, the unknown. I think not even mid to late first round picks. I think second round picks and later are going to be really tough. Those are going to be a real shot in the dark for a lot of people, just with the way the scouting's set up. And I mean, full disclosure, I might just not understand how the scouting works. So, if so, that's on me. But
I don't think you're alone.
I know I have less confidence going into the draft and what to expect. And when I'm picking, I'm not going to have a lot of faith that the guys are going to be good, which I did previously because we had everything. And I don't like the layout. I'm just going to say this as well. I don't like the layout of the screen. I don't like how many things you have to go through to see certain things on each player. I don't know. I hope they improve it next year.
All right. And Bean?
So I, for one, was excited for it. I just think it's different now. So I actually traded some players away for picks. But whenever the draft actually comes, I feel like we're going to have a lot of skips because I was looking through and it takes like 20 seconds to get from one player to the next. If you're not prepared, if we're doing 30-second skips, you're going to look at one player, go to the next one, and then you're going to come back to that player and you're going to be skipped already. You don't have enough time to look through players, so you're going to have to prepare. And I think once everyone realizes that, everyone's going to get frustrated and just try and trade away their picks. So right now, I thought they were a little higher value, but after the first draft and all the mess this is going to be, I think they're going to be a lot lower value.
Yeah, I could see that, especially after you get out of that top 10 where you don't know who's going to be there. Finz, what do you think?
Yeah, my initial thought was, no, I don't think so, because the process is still basically the same. You still gotta, you go through the combine, you still follow draft stories. But I think Prime and Dmues make a really good point that those middle round picks are going to be the key ones. And I'm just going to echo what Dmues said. I cannot stand the layout. It is the fact that I had to go through 4 menus just to get to I hate it. I can't stand it. And Bean, you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to frustrate the hell out of people. Pardon me, the drafts are going to take way too long, and that's going to be frustrating, or guys are going to get skipped because they're not prepared, or people are just going to let the CPU do it, right? So, yeah, I think the first round, it changes nothing, but middle rounds, absolutely.
All right. And we've got a special question on here because we have a little bit of a tradition of if you bail on the show, you get your own spot on the show, or at least something where we pick on you. So we're going to call this, and it's I guess aptly named the DW down. He bailed on the show, so DW gets his own down. And why is DW struggling so badly after all the success he had with the Jets? And we'll start with you, Dmues.
The easy answer is the lack of quarterback. He doesn't have any arm strength in either of his quarterbacks. Neither of them are long-term answers. I know that's frustrating. The nice answer is that DW was dealing with a lot in his personal life when this season first started. So that could have played a factor. But, I mean, the hard truth of this answer is that he's just not playing good football. The Washington football team are a mess. He hasn't been able to overcome the shortcoming at quarterback. He hasn't been able to take advantage of the defense. So, I mean, I think he's just in a funk, and he needs to get back on track for next year.
All right, Bean, your turn to trash DW.
Well, I went with more of a little conspiracy theory here. So I just went back and looked at all three seasons from both leagues in Primer, because he's in Primer. He's the 49ers there. And in the 3 years that he has his own first-round pick, he has a 24% win rate. And then in the years that someone else has his first-round pick, he has a 55% win rate with 2 playoff appearances and a playoff win. So I'm not going to say it, but that's my little conspiracy theory for you guys.
All right, so Bean thinks he's tanking. All right, Finz.
Bean would know something about tanking, by the way.
Hey, come on. 12-4, and I'm getting tanked.
All right, Finz.
His offense sucks. His quarterback is, like Dmues hit the nail on the head there again. I'm going to use that phrase. With that lack of throw power, you go from 85 to 86 throw power from a guy like Wilson who had 95. That ball hangs up there so long. And did we lose anybody?
Yeah, Dmues just said, fuck it, he's out.
But down after this.
The windows are like, defense can react more. The ball hangs up way more. And the fact that he's, having all these extra turnovers, his defense, which is really great. His defense is pretty solid. He's 8th in total yards and 4th in rush yards allowed. But his defense is just on the field way too long. So they're tired and they can't get the stops. As the resident panelist here who has experienced the struggles that DW is going through, in a league like the SML, when you have so much content and so much activity, with a guy struggling like that, all the eyes are on you. And when you get into a game and you throw a pick and you're now down 14-0, you're like, oh, here we go again. And those mistakes tend to get magnified because you can't really hide behind anything because everyone's so active and everyone sees your struggles. So it's I think it's a combination of those two things.
Okay. Prime, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I mean, the guy almost got blew away by a tornado. Then he gets COVID, and I think he had the Madden gods after him as well, because he came on first and goal not too long ago and completely trashed some people, just trashed them. And I think it's a bit of karma, because he thought he was going to come into Washington. It was a perfect fit like a glove, that kind of thing. And now he's getting smacked in the face a little bit. So what do I think about it? I think he'll be better next season. I think he's going to get a quarterback. I think it's mental a little bit, like Finn said. Probably just a combination of things. But maybe Death Wish will learn a lesson from this, and that's to be a little bit nicer to people, and maybe the Madden gods won't slap your wrist and almost blow your house away.
All right. We'll see if he learns those lessons. But that's going to do it for this episode of First and Goal. And this week, everybody else wins on the field. But Finz, you're the winner off the field. With 98 points, you won this episode. These 30 seconds are all yours.
Man, winning feels good. Listen, this goes out to all the SMLers who are struggling right now. DW, Fig, guys that are talking about walking away. Mike and Prime talk me off the ledge when I was talking about this stuff. The SML is way more than just wins and losses. You're more important to the league than being competitive on the field. Stick in there. Don't bail. And like I posted in chat the other day, the sun will come up tomorrow for you, and everything will be okay.
All right. So Finz with the typical Canadian pep talk. Thanks for being on, guys. Even Dmues, who decided as soon as he realized he wasn't going to win, he just dropped out. But,
Exactly what happened.
Yep. It's what he said in chat right here. You guys can't see it, but it says, I quit. I'm not going to win. So maybe he should have stuck around for Finn's little pep talk at the end. But thanks for being on, guys. And that's been this week's episode of First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.